Then here you have your zygomatic bone. Then here you have your occipital bone, portion of the occipital bone. Okay, parts. Okay, this area here would be considered as the squamous portion of the temporal bone, or the squamous part of the temporal bone. Okay, within the squamous part, you have these mga parts. Okay, this one, most superior, you have your superior temporal line, and then below, you have your inferior temporal line. So above, you have superior temporal line. Below, you have your inferior temporal line. Okay, then this one, you now have your temporal fossa. This is the squamous part. So you have your temporal fossa. Okay. So next, ma-extend na yung temporal bone to that portion. So maklaro ang suture. You have suture here. So between the temporal bone and the zygomatic bone. So we call this now as the zygomatic process of the temporal bone. This one will be the temporal process of the zygomatic bone. Then on this portion as a whole, because it forms an arc, they usually call this your zygomatic arc. Okay? Okay, next. Okay. So behind this portion here, you have an opening there. So we call that opening as your external auditory meatus or external acoustic meatus. And then in front of the opening, the C-shaped structure, we call that now as your tympanic plate of the temporal bone. Tympanic plate. Tympanic plate. Okay. So next, you have a certain crest here above the meatus. So we call that crest na as your suprameatal crest. Suprameatal crest. And then you also have a triangle there in a portion. So above the meatus, we call that na as a suprameatal triangle. Suprameatal triangle. Then above the meatus, there is a little bone there na protrude. We call that na as your suprameatal spine. Suprameatal spine. And then here, this one, we now have your mastoid process of the temporal bone. Siya. Then anterior to your mastoid process, kani siya mas slender in size, mas longer. You have the styloid process of the temporal bone. Styloid process of the temporal bone. Okay, here, this portion here, you have the greater wing. So, kani siya, greater wing niya siya of the sphenoid bone. Then, at this area here, you now have your picterion. Picterion, the thinnest lateral wall of the skull. Picterion. Okay, picterion. Here. Yeah. Okay. Next. P-T-E-R-I-O-N. P-T-E-R-I-O-N. Okay, next, posteriorly. So, we have here a certain bony protrusion. So, we call this now as your external occipital protuberance. External occipital protuberance. Then, besides the external occipital protuberance, we have certain line. So, we call that line now as your superior nuchal line.
Sana, sir.
Ano?
Kilid, sir.
Yeah, going towards it. So, superior nuchal line. And then below, you still have a line. So, in below man siya. So, we call this line na as your inferior nuchal line. Inferior nuchal line. Okay? Enough. Clear? Okay, let's proceed now sa inferior.